In the Stands podcast, Andy Roberts, Jason Loggins back with you.
What up?
Very special guest today. People will realize during this episode probably how excited you and I are about our special guest here to my right, Coach Frank Zamora. Can't thank you enough for being on here. And let me get started with this introduction. I love doing these intros, and this one is
stacked.
Unbelievable. So I'll get started. Coach Zamora, GACA Region Coach of the Year in 21. Region 8 5A Coach of the Year in 22. GACA Region Coach of the Year 22. GACA 5A Coach of the Year also 22. Region 8 4A Coach of the Year 23. Torch Award Coach of the Year 23. GACA Region Coach of the Year 23. GACA 4A Coach of the Year 23. USC Georgia State Coach of the Year 23. USC Regional Coach of the Year 23. Region 8 4A Coach of the Year 24. GACA Region Coach of the Year 24. GHSA Boys Soccer Coach of the Year 24. Region 6 AAA Region Coach of the Year 25. GACA 3A Coach of the Year 25. USC Georgia State Coach of the Year 25. Gainesville Times Coach of the Year 25. I also want to add that he was also Hall County Teacher of the Year 5 or 6 years ago, then went on to be top 10 in the state. So unbelievable, remarkable for that, all these coaching accolades, and then to go with it, also one unbelievable teacher. So the county loves that. Now for the team accomplishments, 3A state champion 25, 4A state finalist 24, 4A state champion 23, 5A state champion 22, 5A state finalist 21. Region runners-up, 25. Region champion, 24, 23, 22, and 21. COPA 985 champion, 23, along with his national championship in 23.
Yep.
Coach Zamora, first of all, welcome to the podcast, and unbelievable accolades to go with it.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's an honor being here with you guys.
Thank you.
Great. Coach, you probably do not know this. I don't even know if you've seen an episode of our podcast, and if you hadn't, that's okay. But we started this back, I guess, started around the start of this school year, maybe a couple
August, September, somewhere there. Yeah.
And the entire thought and idea behind this podcast, as we've been talking the last few years, Loggins, just kept saying, hey, a lot of these programs don't get enough attention, especially for what they've done. And it was really started with your program. As everybody just heard, and I'm sure a lot of people around the county in North Georgia, they already know about the Johnson soccer program, but probably like us, had no clue these kind of accolades and this involved even to go with it. And you just, to be honest, have not gotten the attention you probably deserve. And so you and your program were a big reason why this podcast started. Yep. So we're honored to have you on here. And this is just unbelievable. So do you just want to start with telling us a little bit about your background, how you became the coach at Johnson?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was born in Mexico and moved to the United States when I was 6 years old. So, we came to Hall County. I grew up in Hall County, went to Lyman Hall Elementary School.
Oh, okay.
So after Lyman Hall, I went to Chestatee Middle School and Chestatee High School. So that's kind of like my background in Hall County. Again, grew up in Hall County. And then I went to college at UGA. So I'm a big,
go Dogs.
Yep, go Dogs. And once I graduated at UGA, I landed a job at Johnson as the assistant coach. So Brian Shirley was the head coach at the time in 2013. And so then after that, I was an assistant for about 6 years. I was the assistant when Brian led the program to win the first state championship in 2018. And then I took over the program in 2019. Actually, my first season was 2020, the COVID year. And then ever since then, we've been working hard and
rolling along.
That's it.
Wow. Well, again, it's unbelievable for what you've done. The national championship, tell us about that year. I know of all these years that 23 was obviously something special.
Yeah, no, 23 was a really, really good year for us. We had a lot of talent. The players were extremely hungry. And, when we saw that we were ranked number one in the nation throughout the season, we made it a goal that, hey, we got to remain undefeated. We, have to make this a priority for us. And, the boys worked really hard. It was a special season. And then we found out We won the state championship in May, and then the official rankings for the national championship doesn't come out until July. So, that whole summer we were all like, okay, when does it come out? I had the boys had already graduated, the seniors had graduated, everybody had, gone home. And so text after text, like, when do we find out? When do we find out? And so finally the rankings came out and we were number one. And so it was a huge accomplishment for our program, our school, our community. And I was extremely, extremely happy.
That's unbelievable. We've said it multiple times on this podcast. So we're going to say it with you sitting here, but, we believe that your program is probably going to, and you're still doing it, and we'll talk about that, but we believe your program is probably the best to ever come out of Hall County. I mean, when you look at these accolades, you look at what y'all have done these last 6 or 7 years, it's probably going to end up being the best so far to come out of Hall County. And
Consistently.
Yeah. And that is absolutely unbelievable. So props to you. We love talking about it and covering it.
No, thank you. I think, it's been a combined effort of, our players, our admin, community. The community has been huge in supporting us and just being there with us. Man, it's a great accomplishment. We sit here and we can think about it. And, obviously you go into every season not thinking about all the things that you can accomplish. It's just kind of one season at the time. But I mean, soccer is such a big part of the Johnson community. Mm-hmm. These guys grow up playing soccer. For them, it's not just a fun sport; it's their life. Mm-hmm. They for our community, and so it's just a passionate community that's willing to do whatever it takes to provide these boys with the opportunity to be able to go out there and just do what they love. Mm-hmm. And if you guys have gone to any of our games, you can tell that these guys are actually enjoying and living the moment, and that's what we talk about. It's like, soccer can be taken away from you in an instant.
That's right.
So enjoy the moment, live the moment, make the memories, have fun, and that's what it's about.
Nice.
Awesome. So this season, I think I saw you already off to 10-1 start.
Yep, that is correct. We're 10-1 and headed into the region championship tomorrow. We actually play tomorrow against Lumpkin County for the region championship. We're excited about that opportunity. Last year, we weren't able to win region. We lost to GAC, who took that region in soccer. But this year, we made that a priority too. It's like, hey, we got to bring it back because this will be our 15th overall for the program. And so the boys, really took ownership of that this year. And we're like, we're going to do everything we can to be in a position to win the region championship again. And so, there we are in the region championship game tomorrow night. We did lose one game to Dalton, who's another soccer powerhouse in the state. It's always a good game. But no, season's going well. The boys are playing well. We're starting to click. We struggled early on with the final third and just kind of finishing. That's why we see some of the scores that typically we wouldn't see, 1-0, really close games. But now it seems like we're starting to click and the boys are starting to look good. And it's about the right time.
That's good.
It's about the right time. We're finishing up with regular season right after spring break and then headed into the playoffs.
Awesome.
Where's that game at tomorrow?
Lumpkin County.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, good luck there.
Dahlonega. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck there. Bring that home. So tell us a little bit about, we will be there. I know the Gainesville game's coming up in a few weeks. A lot of hype around that. I've heard about the atmosphere in that game. It's going to be at Gainesville this year, I know, which will hold plenty. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that one going into it.
No, I mean, we like to take one game at a time, but everybody's always asking about the Gainesville game, right? All the student body and the community, they're always excited about that one. That's one that everybody kind of pencils in and, highlights in the schedule. And it's a rivalry game. It's probably the biggest rivalry game in North Georgia when it comes to soccer. The stadiums are always packed. Thousands of people. It's kind of like a Friday night football game, but in April. And so this year it's on a Thursday. It's at City Park. The game never disappoints. These guys grow up playing together. They play club soccer together. They see each other in the community, and so for them it's about pride.
Yeah.
Because I tell my boys, it's like, look, at the end of the day, like, it has no bearing in our playoff run, right? We're different classifications. We're not going to see them in the playoffs. But it's always such a big game. It's always the hype for it, the social media hype for it. And it's really, really fun coaching in it and just being in it. It's
kind of like the Hall County Championship, so we can.
Yeah, we know when pride's on the line. That's
bigger than anything else,
things.
right?
Yeah. So that is, we can't wait. I cannot wait to experience that. So that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, so it's a big one.
Good luck in that one too.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about, maybe in everyday practice, what it looks like for you and your team? I mean, obviously you're doing something right with all the success. So are you more, would your practices be more fundamental background, more conditioning background? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, so my boys there at Johnson, they play club soccer, and so they play soccer year round, right? So they have their travel season from like August to December, right? So when they come to me in the spring, in January, we're not focused so much on the conditioning, the fitness part, because they're coming in pretty fit. It's more about really the team chemistry, and so all of my sessions or warm-ups always like the fundamentals, right? Like the technical aspect of the game. Sure. It's the first touch. It's, doing the little things right. But most of it is just really the tactics, right? And our schedule is so tough because you're playing 2 games a week, right? It's not like you have a lot of time to prepare. So Monday we're preparing for Tuesday's game, more tactical and strategy, talking tactics and strategy. We play Tuesday. Then Wednesday's more of that recovery day for us. Thursday, tactical for Friday, and then weekend, right? So for us, obviously, the technical part of the game is very important. We're known for having really technical players that, like to move the ball around and possess and create, create in the final third with creativity. So that's pretty much, a rundown of our week is Monday's tactical for Tuesday's game, Wednesday's recovery, and then Thursday we get ready for Friday's game. Yeah.
Well, all right. So speaking of team chemistry, anything you do each year in particular as far as team bonding, helping that relationship there?
Yeah, no, I mean, we spend a lot of time together, right? And for a lot of these boys, they play club together, and so they grew up playing together, so the chemistry's there. We do the team meals. We just had our senior night last week, and we had a team dinner on Wednesday after practice, and a festival on Thursday that we went to, and so it's just as much time as you can spending with your team on and off the field. Yep.
Sure. So speaking of club, we understand that you also maybe coach a team at LSA.
Yep.
Is it girls or boys?
It's girls.
Girls.
Yep. So.
And we understand they're a very successful team.
They are. They're really, really talented girls that I was able to coach. So I was coaching younger boys at LSA, and my wife was coaching girls. So my wife was coaching my daughter. Okay. And one day my daughter's like, "You're always coaching boys. Why don't you coach my team?" And so the way that club soccer works is, especially here at LSA, when our girls teams are playing at home, our boys are away. And so I was never able to watch her, and me and my wife were constantly on different parts of town, depending on where we were playing. And so she's like, "You never coach, you've never coached me. You always coach all these other players." And so I was like, "Okay, I'll make the transition, but know that it's going to be difficult, right? Because what happens on the field as a coach cannot be brought home."
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you kind of take it out on me as your dad, right? Because I'm pretty intense when I coach. Sure. And so it was a learning process from her. She was U9, U10. And so, me and my wife worked together with the 2011 girls. So they're U15 this year. We just finished up our season in January at regionals, and we've been to the national tournament a couple of times. We've fallen short in the national tournament, but we're up there. We have girls from really all over the area. We have girls from Stevens County, White County, Jefferson, Gwinnett, and then I have 4 or 5 girls from Gainesville, Johnson. We get some good talent for my 2011 teams at LSA.
Nice.
They listen better or not as good as your boys at Johnson?
They listen better.
Okay, yeah, I figured so.
Yeah, they do.
How's your team? Is it a veteran bunch of guys, or is it kind of a mixture of? So
we have a big senior class.
Okay.
So we're graduating 10 seniors. Ooh. Yeah,
wow.
But typically that's last year we graduated 9. The year before that we graduated 7. So it's typically always a large senior class. But this year's class is, they were with me when we won the national championship. They were with me when we lost. So they've experienced the victory and all of that brings in 2023. But they also felt the defeat in 2024 when we lost in the state championship. And so it's a special group. They worked hard. They faced some different challenges from previous classes. But I'm very proud of the work that they've put in and how they led the team, because that's one thing that we always talk about is, it's when it's your turn to lead the team, what are you going to do, right? And what's going to be your legacy? And so I was like, as great as that national championship is in 23 and the state championship in 23 and, state championship in 25, really you're going to be remembered by what you do your senior year, right? And your legacy your senior year. And so that's been a big part of our talk with the senior class. And then we have, some really good young guys too. So it's always a good mixture, right? We have 2 freshmen that, made straight varsity and are seeing some good minutes. And then we have a good sophomore and junior bunch that, put the work in as well.
Nice.
Awesome. Anybody going on to the next level?
We have a couple of players that are playing college as of now. And a lot of these guys, again, they grow up playing soccer, and by the time they're seniors, they're about ready to be done with it.
That's true.
Coach, I'm just going to play for fun from here on out, with no pressure and just enjoy the game. And so we do have one going to Truett McConnell, Yannick. And Josue Mendoza is still undecided, but he has multiple offers on the table, D2, NAIA, and he's still yet to make his mind up. But we will have a couple play in the college level.
Awesome. Speaking of pressure and nerves, and especially when you get to this level, and it just seems like, I know a lot of people don't understand, even when you've got the success and you've still got a great team, it's still so hard every year to go, game in and game out and perform, and especially when you get to the tournament and all that. But do you still get nervous before games? You have
Oh yeah. I think the day that I don't get nervous is probably the day that it's time for me to hang it up. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it's like, for me, it's been harder to maintain the program where it's at than building it. It took us a couple years to get where we were. I mean, I took over in 2019. We had a lot of talent. COVID year, we were ranked number 1 before the season was shut down. And then we came back in 2021, made it to the state championship, lost in the state championship against McIntosh last minute. It was devastating for the boys. But the following year, we came in, and it was 2022. That was the first state championship that I won. So I was able to do that within a couple years. But then after that, it's the hard work. It's maintaining it and being up there, because we get everybody's best now. Everybody kind of circles our game, and it's gotten so much more competitive, and so it's hard maintaining that standard. It really is.
Yeah, sure. Any certain pregame ritual for you or you guys as a team?
Man, I just like routine.
Yeah.
I don't let the boys go home after school. Like, they report right to the locker room. Give them a few minutes to kind of just talk, hang out with each other. Then we have a pregame meal together as a team, and then we have a pregame talk in our locker room, and then we go out to the practice field and we just kind of kick around, back into the locker room, get our stuff. We walk down to the dungeon, back into the locker room in the dungeon. I don't let them see the girls' game. They're all in the locker room locked in, and then after that, it's just to warm up and play. But that's kind of the routine that I like to have. Nice. And anytime that the routine kind of gets messed with, I'm always panicking. It's like, oh man, hopefully that doesn't impact our performance. But yeah, I'm a routine guy. We got to have that routine.
Sure. Favorite memory? You have one?
Oh man, so many. So many. But definitely the first championship. That one's special.
Yeah, sure.
That one's special. It was a special group of boys that, worked hard and just very passionate about the game. But there's so many memories that I can think of. It's just looking up in the stands and seeing the community there. Seeing the boys crying, and it's kind of like when we step on the field, they're like little kids. Just enjoying and loving what they do. And so it's been a special ride for sure.
Awesome. Well, talk just a minute about, unbelievable success here as a coach, but then to me it says a lot about you to win the Teacher of the Year award. And, so you get Teacher of the Year, just so everybody understands, you were nominated at Johnson as the Johnson Teacher of the Year, and then it goes to everyone that was nominated at their school, basically goes in as a group for Hall County to then vote a Hall County Teacher of the Year. And then you go to the state, and the state votes on a group of top teachers from everybody in the pool. And so you went on to be top 10 in the state that year, which just is unbelievable. Says a lot about you. What do you teach?
I teach social studies, so U.S. history.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've been since 2013 at Johnson social studies. So I've taught honors, I've regular, and EL. So I teach all levels of U.S. history at Johnson, and that's one of my passions. So my story how I became a teacher was I've always had three passions in life, right? And growing up, I was able to find that out. When I started off college, I was going to be a businessman, very successful, making a lot of money, kind of like what everybody envisions. But along the way, the Lord led me to something completely different. And so I was able to find my three passions. Soccer has always been a big passion of mine. We come from a soccer family. Soccer has always been, big in my family. So that passion for the sport has always been there. And then through college, I found the passion of, I love history. I love learning about history in the past and how, everything came to be pretty much. Sure. And then also be able to help the youth, right? Be around the young kids, the young, the youth, and just hoping to guide them and share a little bit of my story with them, and hopefully they can take something from me, right? And so through prayer, I was able to put all those three passions together. And I said, man, history teacher and a coach, that's what I'm going to be. And so, thankfully I've been very blessed to be able to put all those three passions together and be able to live out my passions every single day through coaching, teaching, and just being around young guys. Yep.
So you became a teacher at Johnson, and you had a passion for coaching, but I guess was coaching part of that package, or did you just become a teacher at Johnson and then it led into you being able to be the coach at Johnson?
I always wanted to be a coach. That's another reason why I got into teaching, because I was like, that's going to be able to give me the opportunity to put all three passions together. But I was hired on as a teacher first. Then I met with Brian Shirley, who was the head coach at the time, and he's like, well, I can use an assistant, and so I was helping with the JV. And then after a couple of years of that, and that's when I was promoted to head coach.
Remarkable story. Well, we're hoping and want to keep you in Hall County, because I can only imagine the
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, I'm sure you've had offers to leave Hall County to go to somewhere else, but just thank you for staying here and building Johnson up, because you don't hear anything about Johnson in any other sports, right? So that's big, especially from a guy that's been in Hall County 50 years now, and Johnson used to be good in football back in the day when I was in high school in the early 90s. And
well, I think the Gainesville Johnson rivalry started with football.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
In the 90s, I believe that's what I've heard.
So just thank you for building this program up, and this not only being a coach but as a teacher, and a role model to these kids here in the county. So
yeah, no, I wish I could take credit for it all, but it's really been a community effort. Mm-hmm. When I came into the program was ready, the community was ready, the admin were ready to just kind of pour everything into it. And so when I came in, we had the talent, we had the community support. All I needed to do was just to bring my little contribution. And so again, it's been a fully a community effort, and that's what I'm most proud of. Mm-hmm. Right, it's the community that we've built around the program, the love that the community has for the boys, for the program, and vice versa. One of the big emphasis that it's like when we put on that jersey, we represent not just our school but our community, and so it's bigger than us. And so the boys have really taken that in, and they understand that when they step on the field, they're playing for them, their families, us, the coaching staff, our school, and in our community. If you've been to a game, we always have a good turnout of our community. It's almost like a big celebration every Tuesday and Friday when we're playing at home. But I do believe that our success is mainly due to that, or the community support, and the admin at Johnson. They've been very supportive. They've given us everything that we've needed, and then the boys just grow up playing soccer, man. That's their life. Makes it a little bit easier for me when they're as passionate for the sport, and we're not having to spend a lot of time on the fundamentals, right? We can focus on the tactics of the game and getting ready for each opponent, because like I told you, we get everybody's best. Mm-hmm. We're like, we watch film on some teams, and we're like, okay, we're going to do this, and then what happened to the team we watch on film? This is a completely different team, right? Because they just bring it. They bring it every game, and so obviously for our guys, that's fun because they love that type of competitive games, right? They grow up playing those competitive games, and club soccer is so competitive in the fall that it's easy for us to transition to high school and playing in those competitive games. But for us as a coach, the coaching staff is stressful.
I can't imagine. So you said Gainesville and Dalton are pretty, a rivalry. What's another school that you?
So in soccer, man, every school in Hall County,
mm-hmm.
when we play getting ready to play East Hall on Thursday. When we play East Hall, it's a good community turnout. It's another rivalry game, and our boys again grow up playing together. They play club together, and they don't want to lose against one another. And so every county game seems to be a good rivalry game for us.
Okay.
West Hall is the Battle of Oakwood. Cherokee Bluff, they're up and coming program. They had a really good a couple years ago. They had a really good team. But yeah, every county.
I seen Chestatee. They were ranked too, right?
Yep, Chestatee's. They were ranked 5th when we played them last week. And actually, I played for Coach Mike Herron over at Chestatee. Okay. So I graduated at Chestatee, and that game's always fun and interesting. Yeah. Being able to coach against your former coach, sure. And it's always, we were texting back and forth the day of the game, and it's fun. It's fun.
Well, Cherokee Bluff, they've really messed up. They missed the boat in soccer because they didn't put Bristol on the boys' team. She's still playing on the girls' team. So when their boys' program wants to step it up the next level, they need to switch Bristol over there. Are you going to make it to the World Cup?
We don't have tickets, okay. But man, it's the World Cup fever is going to be all over Atlanta. So talking to my wife, we're going to go up there for the Fan Fest and enjoy the really it's historic. It's one of those things where probably once in a lifetime. So we're still trying to get tickets, but the way it's looking, probably not. But just the atmosphere that I think it's going to be amazing in Atlanta. So we're going to be a part of all of that and just enjoy the World Cup. Well, what about you guys?
If you get extra tickets.
That's what if we get some tickets, we'd love to do it too. So.
The World Cup's missing the boat. I mean, I get it. Everybody knows about the World Cup, but the day they have in the stands,
I'm telling you,
covering World Cup, they're really going to go places. So, we're just trying to get the word out that we would probably be willing to come up there to the game, and
even if it's in Atlanta, but still, it's the World Cup.
Talk about the podcast on it and help them out. All right, Coach, we'll end it with this, and again, cannot thank you enough for being on here. You probably still don't realize just the influence. I hope all your athletes realize when you talk about the community, just how much outside of even the Johnson community, but Hall County, North Georgia, they may not realize it. And I know as an entire community, we've probably not done enough as far as getting to the games and all that. But once you guys start in those playoffs and all that, the community is around you. We take a lot of pride that this program's in Hall County. And so it's just been an honor to see what y'all have done and what you're continuing to do. That's the biggest part of the story is it's not over yet. And it looks like a lot of success for the next handful of years to come. So can't thank you enough. But we'll end it with this. Messi or Ronaldo?
Ooh. I think it depends, right? My humble opinion, Messi is more of a natural player. Right, very technical, reads the game very well. Love Ronaldo's work ethic, discipline, and commitment to the game. But if I had to choose one, I'm a Messi fan.
All right. I like it.
Messi all the way.
I like it.
Going back to what Andy said, viewers, when you're watching this, come out and support him. I mean, he's
definitely
is fixing to get into the playoff push here, so come out and watch him. So this team this program's been solid for years, and just come out and watch them, support them. They're Hall County, so.
Yep. Can't wait for this Gainesville game. It's going to be great.
Yep. It's going to be fun.
All right. Good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coach.
Thanks.